A big part of our faith is being involved in church, and there's a lot of struggle in that, and we sometimes wonder if it's necessary to be a part of a church, and some of that just sometimes just happens because there's some things we don't know. And so it's important for us to walk through understanding how the church came to be and what its purpose was. And that's the journey of church history. So this is a part of a series called The Disciple. If you're on our channel, go to our playlist. You'll see a playlist titled The Disciple. And in there, we're walking through how to grow in our faith and how to become a strong follower of Christ and be a strong disciple. And part of that involves understanding church history, and this is the second video. If you go through the playlist, you'll notice they're in order categorized. So all the church history videos will be together. This is only the second of those videos. But some people don't realize that church did not come into existence in the first century. It might have been the time that we started using the word church and that became the Christian church, but that wasn't when the faith began. The faith began all the way back to Adam and Eve and eventually became a Jewish faith that eventually became a Christian faith. And so it was an evolving faith as far as what we were understanding. And the development of gathering together as believers in God, gathering together as followers of God, began way back to Cain and Abel. One of the aspects was coming to God in some kind of formality, bringing a sacrifice to him. This was already happening in Genesis 3. We see Cain and Abel show up and they bring a sacrifice to God. It gets more elaborate as time goes along, but we see in Genesis 6, Noah also, after the flood, presents a sacrifice to God. We see Abraham does this. We see Jacob does this. And then we see it become a more fuller picture when Moses comes along. And now we get the tabernacle, eventually the temple, and all of Israel are bringing sacrifices together in these holy assemblies to come and worship God. And this was not a human invention. God instructed us to do this, to come together as believers in God, as followers of the Lord, and to make sacrifices to him. These evolved into the New Testament into things like Romans 12:1. We become a living sacrifice, that we're making sacrifices in our lifestyle to live for him. We see Ephesians 5:2 talks about a lifestyle of sacrifice. Philippians 4:18 talks about bringing a sacrifice of a financial contribution to the Lord. 1 Peter 2:5 talks about offering spiritual sacrifices. But nonetheless, the church, the believers gathered together to worship God. And that practice has continued. And so today, when we come to a church service, and the purpose is to worship God as a body of believers, as a gathering of believers, that has been something that has been initiated all the way back to Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, and has moved its way to its fullest development today. And so what we're practicing is not something that God didn't intend. God intended for us to gather together as a church. And this comes from God. This comes from ancient times, well before the establishment of the Christian church. It was just an evolving of the faith. And so that's where we stand. And so that's just a small step in. And like I said, as we continue to build this, I'll continue to add. But right now we're working on piecing the pieces together that we have in the Bible as far as the foundation of what we're supposed to be doing. And then we will move beyond biblical times into times outside of Scripture to follow church history. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Just leave them in the comments below. If you are not a part of Bethel and you live in the Pittsburgh area and you'd like to become a part of a church that will come alongside you and help you grow in your faith in person, we'd love to have you join us. We're Bethel Assembly of God at 250 on Staten Street, Wednesdays at 6:30 and Sundays at 10 a.m. God bless you.